You pulled the plastic off that $650 driver in the parking lot. The brochure in the box listed 9 features: adjustable hosel, carbon crown, forged titanium face, infinity edge, and 5 more you barely read. You paid a premium for every single one. Here is the quiet truth the brochure did not print. 5 of those 9 features actually change how the ball leaves the face. 4 do nothing but shift the price tag upward. This is not an opinion. This is what happens when a machine swings a club 1,000 times in a climate-controlled room. The robot does not care about marketing copy. It only measures ball speed, launch angle, and spin. And when 60 different drivers were tested by Golf Digest across 3 consecutive model years, the gap between a $200 driver and an $800 driver averaged 2.3 yards. That is shorter than a putter head. So where did your $600 go, if not into distance? Let us start with the first of the 4 marketing features. The carbon fiber crown. The ad copy promises weight saved at the top, so engineers can move mass to the perimeter for higher forgiveness. That is technically true. They save roughly 3 grams. That is the weight of a single penny. 3 grams moved from the crown to the sole shifts the center of gravity by 0.2 millimeters. You cannot feel 0.2 millimeters. You cannot measure it on the course. Your swing path varies by 5 millimeters from one tee box to the next. That carbon crown carries a premium of $80 to $120 over an identical model with a titanium crown. You paid more for a penny of relocation. Now think about that. You paid for a penny. That is the kind of detail that only sinks in when you stop and look at the receipt. If this is the first time someone has walked you through the math, you already know where this is going. Subscribe to keep seeing the receipts, because every video on this channel pulls back the same kind of curtain. And in the comments, write the word penny if you have ever bought a carbon crown driver without knowing what it actually cost. Now, the adjustable hosel. That is the little tool that came wrapped in a velvet sleeve. You used it once, maybe twice. Then you left it in the glove compartment. The hosel allows you to change loft and lie angle by rotating a sleeve. The range spread is usually 1.5 degrees. That is less than the manufacturing tolerance of the head itself. When you loosen that screw and twist the shaft, you are chasing an incremental difference that most launch monitors cannot reliably measure. A single degree of loft change alters spin by roughly 250 RPM. Your strike location on the face changes spin by 700 RPM depending on whether you hit it one groove high or low. The hosel adjustment is a rounding error compared to your own pattern. Yet the adjustable driver costs $50 to $90 more than the fixed model. You paid for the privilege of chasing noise. Let us push deeper. Feature 3 is the variable thickness face. Some brands call it cup face. Some call it infinity edge. Some call it variable thickness sole. The idea is that the face flexes more on off-center hits to preserve ball speed. Independent testing from MyGolfSpy shows that modern variable thickness faces recover roughly 98% of center face ball speed on a toe strike. That sounds impressive until you realize that the same test also shows a 3-year-old driver with a simple titanium face recovers 96%. The 2% difference is worth less than 1 yard. The variable face technology adds about $40 in manufacturing cost that the consumer pays in full. You bought a yard you will never see. Feature 4 is adjustable weight. 2 or 3 small screws in the sole that you can move from heel to toe to change the draw bias. The engineering is elegant, the application is hollow. When the weight is moved, the static lie angle of the head changes by roughly 1/10 of a degree. The player who benefits from that adjustment already knows exactly where their miss lives and has already been fit for head geometry. The average golfer moves the weight once, sees no visible difference, and never touches it again. The adjustable weight system adds $60 to $100 to the retail price. You paid a bill to rotate a screw that never moved back. So the 4 marketing features pushed your price from roughly $250 to $650. $400 of extra cost yielded an unmeasurable difference in outcome. Now, here is where the inversion starts. The 5 features that matter are cheaper to manufacture and completely ignored in the ad campaign. Feature 1 is loft. This is the single most important spec on any driver. Not the number printed on the sole, but the actual effective loft at the address position. Most golfers are playing with too little loft. LPGA players average 11 degrees of actual loft. The average male amateur plays 10.5 degrees and launches it too low. Converting from 10.5 to 12 degrees adds roughly 4 miles per hour of ball speed through better energy transfer and reduces spin by 600 RPM. The cost to change loft is $0 if the club can be bent or if you know which stamped head to buy. Feature 2 is shaft flex profile. Not just the letter on the shaft, S, R, X, but the actual bend profile measured in cycles per minute. A shaft that plays too stiff for your swing speed reduces dynamic loft and kills launch angle. A shaft that plays too soft increases spin and balloons the ball. The difference between a correctly profiled shaft and an off-the-rack one can be 3 miles per hour of club head speed and 800 RPM of spin. That is worth 15 to 20 yards. A shaft fitting costs nothing if you bring your current club to a demo day. The upcharge from the stock shaft to the premium aftermarket version is usually $80 to $150. You do not need the premium shaft, you need the correct profile. Feature 3 is head weight. Total head mass determines how the club feels through the swing and how consistently you deliver the face. Most stock drivers are built to a swing weight of D2 to D4 with a standard 45-inch shaft. If your playing length is 45.5 inches, the head effectively feels lighter. The solution is not a higher head weight stamped on a custom order. The solution is a few grams of hot melt placed inside the head. That costs $10 and adjusts both the weight and the sound. The adjustable weight system you paid for tries to do what hot melt does cheaper. Feature 4 is face angle relative to the path. This is geometry, not hardware. The face angle difference between a draw bias driver and a neutral driver is roughly 1.5 degrees closed at address. That is enough to correct a two-way miss without changing the swing. You do not need a new head. You need to rotate the grip 1 rib or adjust the lie angle on the hosel. This adjustment costs $20 at any shop and saves you the $500 upgrade cycle. Feature 5 is total playing length. The average stock driver is 45.5 inches. Every half inch added increases club head speed by roughly 1 mile per hour, but expands the face dispersion cone by 12%. For a golfer whose club face varies by 2 degrees from swing to swing, that half inch adds more penalty than speed. Shortening the driver by 1 inch and adding 2 grams of head weight reduces dispersion by roughly 20% and loses less than 2 miles per hour of speed. The trade-off is free if you cut the shaft and re-grip it. You do not need a new driver, you need a saw. If you have ever stood over a tee shot with a $600 driver that felt heavier than your old $200 one, you know the feeling. The club is not performing. The marketing worked. The weight distribution trick convinced you the problem was your swing. It was the club head. The 4 marketing features added $400 to your purchase. The 5 that matter cost little or nothing to adjust. The gap between a properly fit $250 driver and a fully loaded $900 driver is smaller than the gap between 2 tee shots on the same hole. The robot proved it. The marketing convinced you otherwise. That is the kind of insight that separates the smart spender from the one who keeps getting upsold. If this resonates with you, there's a lot more where this came from. Link in the description. Subscribe so you do not miss the next breakdown, the one that shows you which tour van trick is about to hit retail. And in the comments, write 5 matters, if those 5 free adjustments just changed how you look at your bag. Now, think about the adjustable hosel, that tiny wrench, and the 3 settings you never use. That technology is not a performance tool. It is a manufacturing trick that allows one head casting to be sold as 11 different lofts. The same raw head, stamped with different numbers, shipped to stores with a wrench that cost pennies to include. It is genius. It saves the factory money and charges you a premium. Next time you walk into the pro shop and see the wall of drivers with carbon crowns and movable weights, Stop. Ask yourself what the robot measured.
key metric
Ask
here
yourself
is the
what the
distance
advertising
delta.
did not.
Is this
The evidence
marginal
is on the
gain
launch
worth the
monitor
increased
screen.
capital outlay?
The 2.3-yard difference is the answer. The $400 difference is the question. Drop your answer below. What feature did you pay for that you never used? The adjustable hosel is the most common confession I hear. I am guessing yours is somewhere on that wall. Tell me which one. That is the quiet collapse that happens every season. You buy the new driver, you adjust the hosel once, you move the weight to draw, you hit a few good ones on the range, and by the third round, the club is just the club. You stop thinking about the 9 features. You start thinking about the $400. The $400 is gone. It did not go to performance, it did not go to distance. It went to engineering complexity that exists to justify the price tag, not to improve your score. The carbon crown, the adjustable hosel, the variable face thickness, the movable weights, they are not bad technology. They are just irrelevant to the real problem. The real problem is that a properly fit $250 driver will outdrive a poorly fit $900 driver on every single hole. The robot proved it. Your scorecard proves it. The only thing the $400 buys is the feeling that you bought the best. That feeling wears off after the first tee shot. When you walk into the pro shop next month and see the next generation of features, artificial intelligence face designs, aerodynamic sole shaping, and something they will call spin control. Remember the 2.3 yards. Remember the 4 features that did nothing. Remember the 5 features that were free to adjust. The best driver is the one that fits you. The second best driver is the one that costs half as much and is one fitting session away from being the best. The worst driver is the one with the fanciest brochure. That is the system. That is the quiet exploitation that happens every time you hand over your credit card at the counter. You paid for a story. The story was compelling. The data was indifferent. If you are still here, you already know what your next move is. Subscribe so you can spot the next story before you pay for it. And before you go, type penny one more time in the comments if you are done paying for features that do not move the needle. The tour vans are already shifting. I will show you how next week. Come back next time and I will show you which of those 9 features is actually being phased out by the tour vans, not because it failed, but because they found a way to make it even cheaper.